Guys, welcome
Bless.
back to What Are You Saying, the realest podcast in the world. I'm Osama. Today we have an amazing podcast for you. I came across a video of these amazing individuals who I could not just but message and comment on their video because to me it's stuck. And why it's stuck is because they were talking about how it's important to be God conscious in your marriage. And even though I'm not married, it really stuck with me for someone who's trying to get married and being on the journey of marriage. It really stuck with me, and I really want to introduce Rufus and Jenny. They're changing the game with every way possible. Not only are they a few professional husband and wife team who just do everything together, but they've also survived a 30-year marriage and this business being attached to the hip. As entrepreneurs, they have also been celebrating 10 plus years in their media business. Whether it's speaking on marriage, diversity, business, or life motivation, they do it with passion, purpose. Their wisdom, compounded with continuous experiences, has made them curious nature to the global community. Rufus, Jenny, welcome to my podcast. How are you guys today?
Okay, thanks so much for
What's up?
having us.
What's up?
I always appreciate being able to talk to the people.
And I appreciate talking to the amazing guests that I have. That's the best part of this. That's the best part of my job is being able to speak to amazing individuals like yourselves. And yeah, I always love to ask people their story. I think your story is so unique. And for our fans who haven't don't know your story, if you want to tell them a brief part of your story, and we can go from there, inshallah.
I guess we'll just give them the cliff notes because
Well, you
everything
might
else
want to tell her brief, because she don't know what brief is.
and everything else is Google-ish. We met when we were 16. We got married when we were 21. We're military veterans. We've been married for 36 years.
It's
And
6 years.
yeah, we wrote a best-selling book, Surviving Marriage in the 21st Century, 13 Easy Tips that can help you get to 20 years and beyond.
They easy if you ain't selfish.
It's sold over 500,000 copies. We've been around the world. We've spoke to all kinds of people, and everything else is kind of Google-licious.
You been around the world and I.
Yeah, actually, we're just getting back from Kenya.
I remember you were telling me over the phone because when you said, "Hey, you can call now," by accident I called like regularly. I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna have a high bill," so I went back to WhatsApp immediately.
Yeah, well, it was cool because we're grandfathered, so yeah, our calls don't cost that much. We in the grandfather plan, but WhatsApp is free, so yeah.
For sure, and I'm not trying to like bills. The phone plans in Canada aren't amazing anyway, so I have to like live on this, low budget lifestyle, unfortunately. But I love to ask you guys a beautiful question. So you guys both said that being God conscious in your marriage is really important, and I had someone on the podcast, and we were talking the importance of that. Do you find that there's a higher success rate when both parties are God conscious in being in the marriage versus someone who isn't?
100. Now, when I was on my journey, I just did what Allah told me to do. I kept it 100 on me. She changed and she did her thing on her own. But when we both got on that track, yeah, it was 100 after that. But
Yeah. Now, mind you, God conscious is one thing because if you have God in your life and you think about what is Allah going to say about me, what is He going to think about me? I'm thinking about that journey, and having God in your life or conscious is another. It's a totally different thing because you have those people who become overzealous in regards to what God.
right. We're not talking about bringing. No, you can bring you to the relationship. You can bring your relationship with God to relationship, but your relationship with God is not going to be the same as her or his relationship with God. So you can't force what your relationship with God is on someone else.
And every conversation doesn't need to be a lecture. So
Woo.
you have to think about those people who are really just zealous with, just overbearing, with religion.
And that's fine. You got the knowledge, but your
Mhm.
knowledge don't have to come out in every aspect of the relationship, meaning again, your relationship with God and you following the sunnah and you doing all of that, that's one thing. But where your partner is may not be where you at, and that can cause big problems.
Do you think there's a drift? Because I know for me, like in my 30s, and I'm not married yet, but because you were mentioning sometimes you can't be overly religious, overly like asking too many questions. Because sometimes it could like the person you're talking to could be apprehensive to even getting to know you. So do you like should I think my question is my point is I feel like sometimes when I'm like talking to my friends, they're like, you gotta ask all the religious questions, but I'm like, if you're a 10 out of 10 in terms of religion, the person's like 7 out of 10, why are you judging? 'Cause I feel like a lot of my friends do judge, like, oh, this sister's like not at my level, but to your point, everyone's at a different like standpoint in their life and they shouldn't be, looked on differently.
And they got to watch out. because Allah could give that person who has less knowledge in you more knowledge in you during that relationship. So again, I tell people to check their dean at the door, right? Check your dean. And meaning, again, you can't just force how you practice the dean upon someone else. I know a lot of people feel they can, but that's why a lot of Muslims got a lot of divorce going on.
And there's a marriage is a process of acclimating. If you're just getting to know someone, you can't be that nitpicky and judgy because there's going to be so many things that you come across. You know, you don't know how this person makes voodoo. They don't know how you make voodoo.
Mm-mm.
You may use a lot of water. And that may be
And dragging it through the house.
a problem with that person. They just nitpicking. Why are you using all this water? You're using up all this water, and then you tracking it all over the place, and you don't clean up behind yourself and different things like that.
That's just an example.
So yeah, it's what are you really basing this on? If we can't get past the 5 pillars of Islam, and prayer being the first, you know, in that, with, you know, trying to understand that somebody makes their 5 prayers. Okay, let's talk about the other things, because don't sound like you want a marriage. It sounds like when you want someone you can mold. And I'm not talking about you personally, but I'm talking about anybody.
Well, you better not be talking about Usama.
That anybody that tries to judge in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be so many things that you have to acclimate towards each other on and work on, because nobody is going to know everything about you.
Well, and I hear, and I know you probably got something else to say, but I hear a lot of brothers say, I want someone who on their deen. See, their deen is they believe in Allah and they believe in his messenger, right? That's how they practice and how they fulfill. You might be waiting a long time to get a sister that's like you. Because we all are individuals. We're none of us are the same, and none of us are the same in where our deen is. Now, if me and you making our 5 prayers a day, making our sunnahs, we going to the masjid. I mean, we on some other stuff, right? We on a different level. We doing our thing. We can vibe. But the partner you looking for in marriage, again, may not be there. So you talking to me about who you should marry, and we looking at each other. We ain't finna marry each other. So we need to back up a little bit and kind of get a sister who at least believes in Allah, and you can even look for somebody who's at least making their prayers. But everybody is not. Look, and one other thing, everybody gonna tell you everything about them when you first get together. When y'all first move in together, y'all about to learn a whole bunch of stuff, right? And a lot of people doing it now without marriage. So they learn a whole bunch of stuff that they ain't never getting married, right? Because they learning this stuff. But that ain't how it's supposed to be. But my point is, I just want people to relax a little bit when it comes to the deen. You can't guide. Only Allah can guide, so leave it alone.
That is so true. I think you guys kind of changed my perspective in the first 10 minutes of this podcast. I feel like a lot of the times that I'm like talking to marriage, it's always like Dean, which I definitely think is important. But you know how you're mentioning, Jenny, about like we'll do it differently. Some people use a lot of water, some people don't. And I think there's certain nuances that they might not like about you. Because now
Exactly.
instead of like loving you for your own imperfections, because a lot of the times you see people who pray 5 times a day, as you both said, but then they might still have a bad character to them. Like, yeah, you pray 5 times a day, but then it's like you waste food, or you waste too much money. And I think those things also people don't take into consideration until you do move in with them, and then you're like, you're such a spender. How many shoes do you have? How many hats do you have? What's going on over here?
Exactly. And we've seen people pray, and mind you, we were just in Saudi in January, and then we've seen people pray, and then they go have a cigarette, they go smoke. So I'm just saying, it's just
Well, and then you want
things
somebody who pray, but the person can pray within 5 seconds. Is you good? They good. They done 5 seconds. They done. Their prayer is done. I don't know how people do it. I personally, it takes a good.
You see it at the masjid. I still be in the
You
middle
could
of
be
my.
in prayer and out. I'd be like,
Still be in the middle of my sinners. People come
I'm still
in.
on number
They,
one.
and I'm like, I'm still.
I don't know. I can't judge them though. I don't know. They say they made their prayer. They made their prayer.
Hey, okay.
I have a question for you guys, because I think like and it's leading into it. I feel the biggest thing maybe amongst Gen Z, millennials, I'm like the end of millennials. You always hear the conversation about expectation. I expect my wife to cook, or I expect my man to be like 6 feet, or whatever it might be. Right in my head, I'm like, sometimes to share a funny story. One time, this girl who was like 5 feet, I'm like 5'7", guys. I know I'm average, but like this girl was telling me I could never go for you because I'm short. I'm like, I hope you know you're a midget. Like, there's no way you're gonna tell me I'm short.
Excuse me, I'm 5 feet.
Huh?
Thank
You
you
a
very
midget.
much.
No,
You
but like
are
I
a
was so
midget.
You're
upset.
five. He's 5'6". I'm like 5 feet. I'm not a midget.
You a
Thank you
No,
midget.
very
not
much.
you.
I'm
But I was
actually,
Osama
upset.
just said
I
you
am
was a midget now, woman.
actually average height. Anything over me or 5'2" is a giant. So whatever.
So I got upset. I'm like, I hope you know I am 6 feet to you. I'm like, you are tall for a woman, amazing. I am the average height for a guy. I don't even claim I'm 6 foot. I'm like, you cannot tell me I'm short. And I told her the example. That's like me go to someone with a bigger beard than me and telling them I have a better beard than you. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm gonna humble myself. My beard has not as thick as I want it to be, but I know my role.
Now, see, you have prejudged this woman, this sister, because she 5 feet. What else do you know about her? You looked
Nothing.
at her height. You
I think
looked
in
at
that
her height.
moment, she was telling me I would never go for you because I'm 5'7". And I said, I'm like, how are you judging me based off of my height? And I'm like, you're shorter than me. So I'm like, it was kind of like a back and forth. And I didn't
Yeah,
even
and
mention
right, and she judged you, not knowing anything else about you.
nothing.
That's not expectations. That's not expectations.
Yeah.
That's prejudgment.
So then my question is regarding expectations. How should someone go about it? Like when you hear conversations about, I expect my wife to cook, or I expect, I don't know, my man to make $100,000 a year. How should we go about that? Because don't you guys, or not even believe it, necessarily think that it can make it harder for someone to get to know someone because you're only fixating on those two things or other things that you're looking for them to have.
Show me in the Quran where Allah says a woman is supposed to cook.
Nowhere.
No, I'm just
He's just
saying.
putting out the
I
expectation.
understand that, but I'm just saying that because it's not just you. We talking to other people that's watching,
Yeah, for
right?
Yeah, but
sure.
Okay, that's listening. Okay, show me in the Quran where it says a woman's supposed to cook. A woman's supposed to clean her home. Show
Nowhere.
me in the Quran exactly. Show me in Quran. Those are conversations that you're supposed to have before you get married. That is managing the expectation. And we advocate for premarital counseling so someone can know.
I sure do. I wish I had it.
Do not think that you're getting into a marriage with understood gender roles. Do not think that you're getting into a marriage with traditional gender roles.
Especially these days.
If that is something that you look for, is that something you prefer because people have preferences, then you ask beforehand and said, are you into traditional gender roles? Are you just staying at home, cooking, clean, being a stay-at-home wife? That's right. You ask those things. You don't just expect
But here,
that's the way it's
but
supposed to be.
well, here's the other thing: expectations in marriage. Quit expecting anything, if you ask me, because everybody changes. So when that
I agree.
person changes and say, "Well, I ain't cooking no more," then what you gonna do? I'm
Yeah.
saying so expectations. Y'all can talk about these things. You can talk about whatever you want that's on your mind when you before you get married. But expectations, you can expect things. But again, people, we all change. We changed over here. A lot changed over here. I still pay the bills. I still make. She ain't got to worry about no bills. That's one thing. My wife. I wanted to make sure my wife didn't have to worry about no bills. If she wanted to go to work, she can go to work. If she don't want to go to work, don't go. I didn't care.
Yeah. And if anything, the Quran talks about a spouse being a helpmate, that you're supposed to be helpers of each other. So why would you want the heaviness or the burden to be on a wife and you do nothing? That doesn't make any sense. I give you an example, and we're into examples. I give you an example. Early on in our marriage, we both worked. Young, both work, husbands in the military, that type of thing, right? He worked an early shift, so he was home early. He got home like 2 o'clock in the day. I didn't get home, depending on which job it was. I didn't get home till like 4:35. He's already home at 2 o'clock. Why wouldn't he cook? Why wouldn't he have dinner ready for me? He did. That was something that he did because it doesn't make sense for me to come home at 4:35
Yeah.
o'clock and have to wind down and then get in the kitchen and cook and
First of all, I
everything.
was hungry. I couldn't wait no 3-4 hours to eat.
Yeah, so to have that expectation, like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for my wife to come home and cook. Why?
My mama taught
What's
me
the
how to
problem?
cook. I know how to cook.
I actually had a heated discussion with my friends. The reason why I brought up the cooking is because me and my friends we had a heated discussion. I remember it started at 9 o'clock at night and ended at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I said, guys, whatever you, because they were both telling me that, so the same way a girl expects. She's like, two of my friends were saying to me, I expect my wife to do my laundry. I'm like, I could do my own laundry. Thank you very much. I'm like, that is just a childish answer. I'm like, she's not your slave. And then two, she's like, I expect her to cook. And I'm like, brother, I'm like, what if, for example, your wife is on, she's pregnant, she can't cook, or what are you gonna do, starve? And he's like, oh no, she has to cook for me. I'm like, this is why I say you're not ready for marriage. And I think the biggest problem with my generation specifically is because my parents would always tell me, expectation leads you to failure. That's why I don't expect too much stuff. Because I feel like when I just have my standards, like I have like certain things that I'm definitely looking for, and I understand my roles as a Muslim man. To your point, Rufus, how you said like you would never make your wife pay. My dad has always taught me. He's like, hey, you're the man of the house. Even when I was like 7, 8 years old, he's like, you're the man of the house. Like when I'm not here, make sure
You
that your mom
5-year-old, come and work.
come to work. Go to work. Go. He's like, you're not. He's like, I didn't name you Osama for no reason. Go work. Yeah. So I always have had that mindset. So when I had that long discussion, it was like two versus one. I felt like I was in a rap battle. I'm like, listen to me very carefully. I'm like, I will never expect my wife to cook. I'm like, if she or even work. I'm like, I had a conversation with a sister, and she asked me, hey, do you mind if I work? I'm like, whether you choose to work, you choose not to work, it's up to you. I'm not gonna force you to work. I'm not gonna force you to cook. I feel like I know my roles and we're here as a partnership together because I feel a lot of the times when you start like demanding stuff, and to your point, when you start living with each other, it's gonna get more. You're gonna start seeing different sides of the actual person you married, and I feel a lot of the times people forget that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're gonna start to see all sides because you don't know someone. You don't know that person. So, and you have to learn each other and you have to grow together. I think a lot of the problems that we have is that people are growing apart because you see more of I, me, and not we.
Yeah, most people are worried. Most people, even going, even as we grow in the marriage, if she said growing apart, I say we change. Again, remember, Allah says only He can guide anybody. And if we don't change in our deen, I'm saying like we always got to change with Allah. We got to change. We got to try to grow. We got to try. It's the same in the marriage. So, but everybody ain't gonna go at the same time. That's my biggest pet peeve when I hear people is what somebody used to do when they was 20. Well, they grew. They don't do that no more. So you want them to keep doing something that they was doing at 20. Somewhere you got to grow. So I'm not going to stay 20 forever. I'm not going to stay the way I thought, the way 30, everything I see my children going through. Osama, you probably going through some stuff my children going through and stuff that y'all do and say, I don't do those things no more. I don't do the stuff that a lot of people worry about. But anyway, that's big. And if your parents taught you that your expectations do not be expecting all of this, that is. But now going into a marriage, you can't like if I'm working, I'm doing all of this and you at home, then I'm not going to get off work. I did, and some people do. And the expectations might be okay, the house is gonna be clean, I'm gonna have some dinner cooked. I don't think that's a bad expectation going into a marriage.
That's not a bad expectation, but that's also something that you talk about before
Oh,
marriage.
one we didn't learn that beforehand. We sure learned it up in here. Hey, and another thing again, if y'all don't discuss some of this stuff before you get married, some people just jump in it, bruh. Y'all heading down a rocky road.
What are some things you guys believe that when someone's getting to know each other, what should they be speaking about? What are some things that if you were like tell people, hey, you're single, we're talking to someone, what are some key factors that you should like guide them? Say, hey, these are some things you should be discussing.
What's your credit score? I need to know what I'm getting into when I get into it. Now, I ain't saying it should be a deal breaker as far as not getting married or something like that, but just knowing those things going in, you kind of know what you're dealing with. So those are big surprises in the marriage. We can't get a car. Why we can't get a car?
Yeah, I would think that you would need to know like their background, like how they were raised, their household, but their the how the dynamics in their household.
Was your
Then
daddy home or your daddy wasn't home?
then
Boy,
you
I'm
could
about to
kind
go
of
through some things.
you could kind of gauge like how much interference you're gonna have in your marriage, which is a really big deal. So like, some people you need to understand their work ethic.
But none of this, to me, should be a quick deal breaker because we all have a past.
Yeah, and I would ask some questions about honesty. Honesty is huge, and try to gauge that. I'm more about character traits because that's what really attracted me to him, was his character, because I didn't really like him when we first met.
We didn't hit
So
off at all up
I,
in.
it was more as time went on, and I started seeing certain things about him. But yeah, at first, yeah, I don't,
But that's the
there wasn't.
that's the premarital counseling, and that's the pre talking to each other, and kind of, because like when we were growing up, we stayed on the phone till 3, 4 in the morning. Right? I don't know what they do. That is, they online to 3, 4 in the morning. I don't
Right,
know.
right. And it was actual conversations, not this texting and
Right.
we heard each other
We
voices.
heard
We
inflection
asked
in the voice.
questions and
We kind of got to know each
yeah,
other a little bit. Like, hey, something's wrong with you today.
conversation. We told little stories, we ended up, just having
I
conversations.
think that's important. I think a lot of time when people jump into marriage, again, expectation. But if you kind of get to know a person a little bit before you do, and some people take 2 weeks. Ooh, I'm good. They ready to go.
Yeah. And also, if you want a wedding more than you want a marriage, there's a problem. There's a
Pomp and
problem with that.
circumstance. We done
Yeah.
we done counsel pomp and circumstance on too many occasions. You had the big wedding, but not, oh, it ain't, oh no, it ain't that smoking no more. Oh, everything ain't like you wanted it. The horse and carriage gone, and not a marriage gone. So expectation is everything.
You guys said a lot of things, which for sure, I feel like going forward, I'm gonna change my mindset about genuinely, because I feel like how you're mentioning how you would stay up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and talk about real stuff, versus I feel like sometimes when I was young in the past, I feel like there was a rush to it. I feel like maybe I wasn't maybe as listening to their answer. I just wanted to talk about myself, or like they're sometimes we're only hearing each other. I feel like a lot of the times I've seen amongst it's my people who are my age, people who are younger, we do a better job at texting, and I feel like through text you can't understand. Sometimes you're gonna be misinterpreting what they're trying to say, versus when you're hearing their voice, you're actually feeling their, like, how they're going up and down, their emotions. It's really different. I feel like the biggest question for me that I want your opinions on is, what do you believe is the biggest barrier that I feel like the new generation has amongst marriage? Is it something that we're doing wrong that is allowing for divorce rates to be up, or is it allowing for people not to be married? What do you think is a barrier, a couple barriers you're seeing that amongst, from your time when you guys got married, from like maybe your friends versus now? Like, what do you feel is like the biggest difference, or even the barriers that we're facing?
I mean, well, number one, like I said, we're huge advocates for premarital counseling. We don't see a lot of that. We did a lot of counseling during COVID, a lot of counseling, and we use that as a focus group. 99% of the people that we asked them, did they have premarital counseling? No, they did not. That is a huge, because a lot of the complaints we were hearing, they could have been worked out in premarital counseling. You would come to the table, you could have worked this out already.
Yeah.
And besides, for premarital counseling, we don't see counseling. We don't see counseling. Even with Muslims, in the Quran, it says seek mediation. It says seek mediation. When you have a problem, seek mediation. One from his family, one from her family.
Nope, I'm done. I
If
ain't
you
got to
don't,
talk to
yeah,
nobody. I'm done.
if you don't have that, then of course you have to find people that you trust in order to do that. But the mediation is social media. The mediation is your guys, your bros. The mediation is your girls, who these people are not experienced in lasting relationships, period, at all whatsoever, giving the worst advice, the whack advice, the least important opinions that you could ever possibly have in sustaining a relationship. So that's one of the biggest problems with people, is like, they don't go to people who can actually help them out.
And yeah, quit talking to your friends, because I used to talk to my friends all the time. I'd have been divorced if I kept listening to them knuckleheads. I started talking to these people who've been married for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Again, that's where I got my best advice. That's where the book came from, because I wanted people who weren't married or even in their marriage to get better advice from someone who has done it or been there. Right. Now I'll tell you something else that'll help y'all generation is, okay, that's one. That's a good one. But don't quit listening to these people who ain't married. And huge. Y'all have to. I mean, well, in Islam, because we talk to married people or people. We talk to Christians and other faiths as well. We did Buddhists at one time. I keep mentioning that to people because I was, when the Buddhists was in there. I just went. I'm like, Buddhists get married. I thought they was just. I didn't know about Buddhists, but I learned a lot that day. I tell you that. But we have to go and talk to what's the Guy got to go talk to her. It's on top of my head. I can't remember. But the guy supposed to talk to the female Wally, right? So this is all part of premarital. But again, during those conversations, we should be having some better conversations during those conversations. Hey, you got money? You can provide for her. It's you guys have to live to. We have to live with our spouse. So there's nothing wrong with again communicating and trying to get, especially sometimes people don't have the Wali. So a lot of people are talking to each other. Again, talk to each other on the phone where you can hear the person's feelings.
And another thing I think is even more important, or right on the lines of money, because money and being able to provide is important, and you get into a lot of arguments and disagreements because of money. I feel that knowing how
I disagree.
that's part of it. Knowing how to resolve issues. Like if there's going to be a disagreement, who do we go to? You know, who is it going to be? Are we just finna fight for a week?
Designate somebody.
You know, if we come to an impasse,
nothing's wrong with that.
Who are we going to talk to resolve this issue? And how do you get? And that's a tip in our book.
But some people be feeling.
How do you get to that point where you agree to disagree?
Well, some people be feeling like I got all the answers. I know all the Quran. I know all the Sunnah, and I got all the answers. That person might not want to hear you right now. Y'all arguing. You anything you say to that person don't mean nothing to them at that point.
Yeah. So you have to get to that point because you'll be arguing forever. Now, mind you, I said we did a lot of counseling during COVID. A lot of counseling. Okay. There are people who don't even want to give people their 3 days. And Quran says you have a disagreement, give that person 3 days. Give
the Sunnah is 3 days.
Sometimes
calm down a little bit.
Yeah, just don't talk. You know,
we gonna hash this out right now. You know, are we really finna hash it out right now? Were we yelling and arguing?
And because self comes so much into play, so much into position, you don't even do that. You don't even give that 3 days.
You ain't even following the Sunnah. You probably got all this knowledge, and you ain't even following the Sunnah. Give that woman a breather, or give that man a breather. They don't want to keep hearing your voice right now. Sometimes, shut up. I ain't trying to hear nothing you saying right now. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, I think the power of silence is definitely important when it comes to a conflict. And I think to add on to your point, I've realized I've had conversations with one sister for the purpose of marriage, but never really ended up working out. God bless her heart. But I remember one of the conversations that we both had was, in which we both agreed, she's like, if we ever get to a conflict, would you ever be open to counseling? I'm like, of course. Like, absolutely. I believe it's important, getting a third party opinion to help mediate whatever problems that we're having.
Well, you need to talk to these brothers who know all the Sunnah. One told me, I know everything about it. Well, then why are you having problems right now?
That is so, and that's so true to me, because I feel like, I'm not sure if it's a guy. It can't be a guy thing. For me, I don't feel emasculated by going to talk to someone about my problems. I feel like, to your point, Jenny, how you said, Allah says, go seek mediation. I agree with that. I feel like, like Allah will not help you if you don't help yourself. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of people and a lot of guys, when I have this conversation with them, couples specifically, they're like, nah, man, it's like, I'm not going to go to know. He's like, we'll solve it now. And to your point, Rufus, how you said, sometimes your partner does not want to hear your voice. Like, you're already annoying them. You're on, like, you're pissing them off. They need some time. Like, let them take their 3 days and go reconcile. And sometimes I believe you go to someone it does not make you like less capable of, fixing your relationship. But sometimes you need that unbiased opinion to like break down the core in terms of where the problem is coming from. And that's how I think of it. And I feel like I've been learning so much, and I gotta like, I feel like I've been like watching more marriage videos. I feel like now I gotta be a new purchaser of your book, inshallah, so I can like read it, enhance my knowledge. But yeah, when I was talking to my brother, my friend, and I think I gotta find some new friends clearly for this conversation. I feel like when I was talking to him, he was just saying, it's like, no, man, don't do counseling. Go like try to fix it. I'm like, sometimes you fixing it internally can only make it worse.
Dude.
Yeah. Depending on what angle you're coming from, because a lot of times you trying to fix it, you have an angle, and the other person may not be open to it. Sometimes you just need a referee. Sometimes you just need, that third voice.
It might end just like that.
That other ear, to maybe give some type of analysis or common sense. A lot of times when we hear people's problems, we're at 36 years and we look at each other like, oh, that's so small. But it's a mountain to them. it's humongous. Like they can't get over it.
And we get it. Being through it, we get it. I mean, something that whole spitting, keep leaving toothpaste
Yeah.
in the sink. That's huge to some people.
Yeah, and mind you, some people don't want to go to somebody to solve it because they just want to sit in it.
You know what I
You
do?
know, they
If she
want to
left
sit in
toothpaste
it.
in the sink, I'll clean it now. Let me clean, get this stuff up out of here.
I'll be leaving
Hmm?
toothpaste in the
You
sink.
sure don't, baby.
Mm.
You sure don't.
I feel like if I left toothpaste in the sink, my mom would be like, she's like, she'll get mad, and she's like, this is who's gonna marry you. My mom would like, yeah, we'll find a way to, we'll find a way to like reverse psychology. Yeah, so then now she's like mentally preparing me. She's like, go learn how to cook, go do this. To the point where now, like one time, my mom told me actually like fun story. She's like, if I ever hear you cleaning for your wife, you don't clean in this house, I will never talk to you again. So from that day on, as a teenager, clean the washrooms, clean everything. I'm like, I do not need my mom being upset with me. I need
Man,
her.
sounds like your parents gave you some good. You get some good stuff from that house.
100%. I'm I think yeah, I'm like my dad is not like my parents both don't play around. Like they like I feel like when the topic of marriage like it's not even about money. It's about are you able to take care of this responsibility on your hands? Because they're like you're not gonna make a fool out of yourself and go marry, and then it's not like about even divorce. It's not about but you need to show us that if you're able to take care of your single life, yeah. But like for example, I have my own vehicle. Like I remember my dad said when I bought my car at 22 or 20, yeah, 22. He's like, listen, like all the payments are on yours. Anything that happens is on you. So I'm like, they really taught me from day one all these lessons. And I remember one fact. I think looking back at it, I thought I was entitled until this moment. And I told my dad, I got accepted to college. I'm gonna take the car. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, you're gonna take the bus, and I don't care if you get lost. You're gonna find your way to the school and come back. So I feel like
Man,
mend me up to the point where now when I talk to sisters, I'm coming from experience, but also coming from an empathetic standpoint. When I'm listening to them, I understand where they're coming from because I feel we all come from different trauma, from different problems. So I feel like for me, it's like the biggest thing I've learned is being able to listen and see what you're able to gather and then take away from. Because sometimes they might be aesthetically beautiful, but then you may not. Your values, to your point earlier, Jenny, your values might be so different, and that can also be that barrier essentially.
well, even what I'm hearing from you right now, that little 5 foot woman that you were talking to, she done messed up because of what I'm. Everybody doesn't have a household like what it sounds like what you come from. Which
Hmm.
again, why this book was important was because even if you come from that standpoint that you're going to relate to it, you should relate to this really good. But there's other people who don't have two-parent households and there's other dynamics of them growing up that they really needed some type of guidance in marriage. You might, and that the one who said 5'7" wasn't good enough. Okay, it's other issues that you're gonna deal with somebody that's 6'4".
Well, I guess it even goes back to like my next question for you guys because I feel like the rejection is a huge thing. I guess they feel like when you get rejected, and then like the power of saying no. Sometimes like things
Right.
can be so good, and then you have to learn when to leave. Especially when you believe like okay, they meet 6 out of the 10 things, but maybe 4 things that are your non-negotiables, and then the rejection part. And I feel when in the way she said to me I was short, I was like, listen, like you are a perfect height for me in reality, but I'm like, we're not even talking for the purpose of marriage. But she said it to your point, Jenny, but she prejudged me. I'm like, listen, God made me this way and I'm happy with my height. I'm like, I'm perfectly comfortable. Because there's some people who are
100.
like
Hmm.
there's some people, for example, oh, I'm balding, or like, I'm short. But I'm like, Allah bless you in the way that you are. Just be happy. I'm like, I don't need to be 6 foot. I'm not gonna enter the NBA anytime soon. Even if I was, I don't have no basketball skills. I told her I'm fine. And I remember she's like, I need someone who's like, to your point, 6'4". I'm like, that's so many inches taller than you. Like, what's going on? But then again, looking back at that, I should not have even entertained that conversation to begin with. Like when I just wanted to like retaliate back when I called her short or a midget. Because I'm like, you're not gonna call me short.
No, but it's not. It's not. But even remember, we said we didn't think we was a fit when we first
Hmm.
saw
Hmm.
each other. But we conversated.
Yeah, you
So if
have
you
to.
conversate, even though he ain't 6'4", but she can find like I'm listening to you and I hear other things that I love hearing when I hear people that grew up with the household and the teachings that you're getting because that's going to help you in that marriage. I can guarantee you.
You have to get to know people. You have to get there's just all of these, I'll say superficial.
Mm-hmm.
Physicality is superficial.
Now I
You
ain't
know,
saying go
that
get what's the girl name?
anyway,
Oogle ugly.
stop it. But
Fubar.
but
I ain't saying get somebody that's
so,
Fubar.
you have of course, you have to be physically attracted to someone, but when it comes down to all the other things that is actually going to help you sustain a marriage, physical is the least of it.
Because you're a good looking brother. So she definitely didn't say, oh, this is an ugly brother.
Right.
She just said the
have
height. You can get over the height.
Right. So physical is the least of that. You have to tune into the other traits. Otherwise, there's a bunch of beautiful people that get divorced.
All the time.
The beauty doesn't sustain the marriage. The handsome, the good looking, that doesn't sustain
The
the marriage.
manners, the being nice, the not
Yeah.
yelling. Those things will sustain a marriage.
The most handsome guy can be a narcissist.
Woo!
You know, the most handsome guy can be a miser. The most handsome guy, you know, doesn't mean that he has the best character traits in everything.
Ooh, he look good, but
There could be a whole bunch of butts. There's a whole bunch of butts. So you really have to tune in to the character.
so remember, you're looking for marriage.
Yeah, character is what's going to sustain the marriage.
And that's why Allah says get somebody who get a believer. Because with those, when you start out with those qualities, even though you can marry a disbeliever, but get a believer, because when you start out with those qualities, it's going to give you less problems.
Right. And then you can marry, you know, you can marry women for 4 things. Beauty is one of them, but just know what you get. You know, you might get high maintenance.
All them other qualities might be gone.
You might get high maintenance, and that's all you get.
Now, I met some beautiful women, and they got the good qualities too. Don't get me wrong, but that's why we say conversate. You gotta get to know the person at least a little bit. That whole, what's that, the 90-day fiance?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Honestly, everything what the both of you just said, I fully agree with, and I think that of course everyone like learns differently from their parents, from their environment that they're in, or even what they take from life. Especially now with social media, like you see people who are these celebrities online who they're posting with their significant others, seeming as they're happy, but you never know what's behind the scenes. And regarding that sister who called me short, I think it was that realization in my head. I'm like, to your point, Jenny, how you said, to both your points, how you said looks is not everything. Like, yes, beauty, like you don't want to marry someone you don't find attractive. Like, you don't want someone who's repulsing, but you want someone who's like, you know, attracted to a point where you're like, you know, I can look at you and not be. And I feel that definitely is important. However, I feel like
what's important?
It definitely is important. I'm not gonna sit here and have people like call me out on my own talk show. Like I've said it before, things are definitely important. But I do, like, to your point, I remember one time me and my friend were having a conversation. He kind of said something to me which has always resonated. He's like, you know, looks attract you, but then like the personality keeps you. Being able to have that conversation, their heart, their character is what keeps you going. Because then like that person who you thought was like a 7 out of 10 is now over that 10 out of 10 because like you love their personality, similar values. And I think that what really attracts me the most. And I feel now when I'm talking to sisters, I try to like, I'm like, okay, you know, they're beautiful, mashallah, but now let me speak to them. Let me see what their life is about, how they grew up.
Yeah, I mean, you ever seen somebody that's really that's pretty, beautiful, whatever, and you talk to them and it's just like they have no conversation. Like they don't know history. They don't know.
But
they don't even know pop culture. They don't even know.
I had a brother tell me, he just looking for a believer. He don't care. She can look like Fufu. He didn't care. I'm still waiting on new Fufu to come to him then, because I still ain't seen it. Because the first thing we gonna do is what we see. So I still ain't seen the Fufu the brother talking about yet. But I have seen some other women come his way.
Yeah. But I think it also shows you like how sometimes people are so blind. You know, like that verse in the Quran where God says it's not the eyes, it's not the eyes which are blind, it's the heart. And sometimes you'll meet this amazing person, and it's like you're allowing every good thing to pass by, but you're only sticking on this like one thing about looks. And I feel a lot of the times looks go away eventually. Like if you're not gonna be that good looking when you're 90 years old, like you're bound to like have changed, or like however long you live. And I feel like the biggest thing is I feel like sometimes it's almost as if you talk to an entrepreneur, you could tell a great entrepreneur is someone who does not like complain, like even with the weight of all the problems they'll still find solutions, versus someone who wants to be an entrepreneur and then like when a problem gets hit, there's a problem. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? It's that mindset switch. And I feel like similarly for marriage, not to compare the two because they're both different in my opinion, but I feel like sometimes, you know, you meet someone, you're like, okay, she's beautiful. Now I want to have that conversation. I want to see how she grew up. Because I think the biggest thing is like for me, growing up in Toronto or outside of Toronto, in a white neighborhood, I grew up differently. I grew up loving hockey. I grew up like watching basketball with my friends. So I know that sometimes when I speak to people in the Arab community, they look at me with big eyes like, what kind of Arab watches hockey? And I'm like, that's me. Like, that's how I grew up.
Yeah, you have to remember that also that beauty changes. And over the years, the inner beauty really reflects the outer beauty, the outer beauty. If a person is beautiful inside, that reflects and that comes out. And a lot of times people will see that. And then that's why you see people say, oh, they're beautiful inside and out. And that's really the type of person that you
Agreed. And I guess my next question for you guys is I was watching actually your video, the TED Talk you guys are they're talking about the power of no, which really stuck with me. Because I feel a lot of the times, you know, like even in sales, they teach you not to be scared of no, or even like in our religion, in our deen, that when there's like a no, Allah will open multiple doors. And you were mentioning how you, Rufus, were like you were going down to like speak to Clyde Davis, and then it didn't work out, but then you went to the military. I guess in the moment, if someone who is going after marriage, talking to sister, doesn't work out, or whatever the avenue might be, what is the true power of saying no and then like reflecting on it and kind of moving forward?
Saying no to marriage?
No, I mean like saying, let's say, for example, if a girl says no to you and then you're upset, what's like,
Hey,
yeah,
Usher said, "Let it burn." I tell people all the time, emotions is a part of life. That's one of those situations where you gotta let it burn. If it's something you can't do nothing about, ain't nothing you can do about it. Let it burn. So after you get done letting it burn, you pivot, but you have to. You just I don't know. You get Allah. You're gonna get past it. So you let that burn. You go to the next one. But Allah prescribed marriage for us. So my thing would be never give up on Allah. Like that's the first and foremost thing I go to in my marriage. Once I started doing that, I was good. I was good with letting all kind of stuff burn with her.
well,
I'm moving.
you said you watched our TED Talk, so I mean, no is a part of building your character. No will build character. So if someone has a problem with being rejected by a sister, seeking marriage, and they don't,
They
not
all into it, but
everybody,
she ain't into it.
not everybody you seek is going to say yes.
100.
So no is going to build that character, and every time you hear no, it's going to build you something within inside of you to help you accept it. And that is a part of character.
But not only help you accept it, but yeah. I mean, I guess acceptance is a good one. But it's going to make you stronger with the next one. Don't quit. Here we go with expectations again. So you feeling it, you all good with it, but this person ain't feeling it.
Right.
So
you all into it, like, oh my goodness, and no.
yeah, so
No.
that expectation is already gone with you
And
coming
it's just this huge crash, and then you have to go into your
yeah.
room and close the door.
Think about it when you were growing up. I don't know how you grew up, but I know when I was growing up and without Islam, you looking for the we call them dimes back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm looking, boy, that one right there. I'm about to get that one right there, right? And
No,
then
you're
you go,
not.
you
No,
put
you're
the hand in the
not.
face. That was some hurtful stuff, right? But again, it built character. I feel no builds character. So that's how you should look at it as I'm getting a whole bunch of character building up in here.
I feel like when I was like, I remember when I was like, I was working for when I was working for Beats by Dr. Dre at the headphones back when I was like in school as a representative when they got bought up by Apple. And I remember my manager had told me, he's like, you can't always get like upset or scared when someone says no to you or objects to what you say. He's like, and to your point, like he's like, no builds characters. Like you have to find this like pivot in terms of like if they really say no, don't let it affect you. And I feel a lot of times, it's like I feel like it's our ego that comes to play as guys. Like I remember when I was in school, college, me and my friends, like when you go ask out a girl, it's almost as if how dare she say no to me, because as if like you have something to offer or whatever it might be. Versus, I feel like now at an older age, I would say to my 23 and older, when someone would say no to me, I'm like, I'm not gonna let it bother me, because I'm like, I have so many other things to worry about. I know that there's something else that's waiting for me. And I think a lot of the times is we get so attached to the result is what I believe allows us to make that no so powerful, versus in the reverse. And you know what? There's a no. Let me see what I like. You could deal with your emotions, cope with it, whatever you need in that meantime, but then you have to move forward. I feel a lot of the time you get so stuck to no, but you get so attached to the result. You're like, no, I should have done this.
And that's what we're taught. That's how we grew up. That's what we're. I'm not gonna say that's what we were taught, but our emotions. We didn't know how to put our emotions in check. So again, that talking we did with the power of no. That's to put your emotions in check. Like,
Yeah.
hey, no, you getting a
Yeah,
little bit too out.
and you said it too, and we said it in our TED Talk that it will make you pivot. I think that was like one of the last
One way or the other.
Yeah, like the last
You
lines
you can
in
either
our
pivot and be
TED
happy
Talk.
about it, or you can pivot and be sad. But you're gonna pivot.
Exactly, but that doesn't mean that you just give up because you've been told no. Listen, I'm not. I'm going to talk about the book again. I'm not the type of person that I just felt we had to put this book out. When we put this book out, I sent it to the proposal to a couple of agents. We got a couple of no's, right? But was I deterred? Was I deterred as far as putting the book out? Because I felt it in my heart. I was telling him, I said, we got to put this book out. It was just something that I felt that we had to do. And we self-published and put it out ourselves. And, alhamdulillah, the rest is history. You know what I'm saying? So we know a lot of authors that have the same story that have sent their book to or proposal to publishers and got rejections and different things like that. But does that mean that you stop? Does that mean that you give up?
Yeah.
No, just if you get rejected by a sister, you going and it's in your heart, it's on your heart. Allah said, get the singles married, and you say, is this my time? This is my time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, it's your time, baby. It's your time.
Shoot,
Go ahead, it's your time, right?
If it was me, I'd have probably look. Let me go see if I can another 5-foot sister and see what happens.
So
I had to try my luck somewhere else.
exactly, you
Agreed.
just keep
Agreed.
going. You just say you just pivot. Oh, it's another. It's
Why you
another
keep
one.
talking about Usama?
Saying it's another one in the room.
Hey, I
You
love
just
it. I
pivot
love
over
it. I
here.
love it.
Let's go. Let's go that way.
To go back to your point, even to relate to my podcast, how you said we went to our publishers, we were getting a lot of no's. I remember in the beginning it was a struggle. I wish I got some no's. People would read the message, not even respond. I'm like, just say no to me. I'm like, don't look at the message, just leave you hanging right there. That's even worse. That's even worse. I'm like, did I leave you on speechless or what happened so far? Like, did you like get breath take by my message that I sent? But I feel like the more no's that I got really taught me how to speak to different guests now that when I get them. Like when I had my conversation with you, Jenny, or when I had different conversations, different like speaker, like people who I've had on the talk show, it really taught me in terms of okay, cool. There's some where they looked at the message, they said, no, you know what, you're like for whatever reason. And I feel like no does build your confidence as well because then it's like it gives you that thick skin. It's like it's almost as if the more needles you put on your arm, eventually it's not going to affect you. And I think similarly to me, and I feel like I'm just built differently amongst like my generation. I feel like because of maybe me being called Osama and going through what I had to go through, I feel like there's nothing you could tell me. And because I was short, and I always use this mindset, because I used to like play basketball with my friends. So I told myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm not tall, but I know how to trash talk. So I was
Yeah.
like just going in, like talking to the tall guys. I'm like, oh, see, I'm like, if you were taller, maybe you'd get that layup. So I just knew how to like work psychologically and not allow things to bug me or to hurt me. And I feel like it helped me so much when someone does say no to me or whatever the reason is. I'm like, you know what? Okay, cool. Inshallah next time. And then Allah will open a different guest, a bigger guest, and something more beautiful conversations happened. But I do truly think it is a mindset. And I think a lot of I did speak to one of my friends that I always tell them that you do struggle with always fixating on the negatives versus I'm like, there's this negative and there's a positive out of it. So what's the positive? And then they go back to the negative. I'm like, stop with the negative. I'm like, even
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my mom, and she raised us to be very strong-willed, independent, and high self-confidence and everything. And she would always tell us like stuff I would tell her. She said, go ahead and apply. What's the worst they could tell you? No. Yeah, what's the worst they could tell? Is that gonna really crush you?
And if you really
Yeah.
want this person in marriage, the worst they can tell you is no for already expectations.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not gonna, what what is it gonna change from one day to the next if this person tells you no?
I'm not sure if this is like a toxic thing, but I like when people say no to me. I'm like, okay, they said no to me, and now I gotta like better myself. So I feel like for me, it's like this push. Because when I go to the gym, I feel like it's that similar when you don't see the results you want, it makes you want to go back and like get into shape or whatever it might be. So I feel like it's that reverse psychology that I have. I'm like, someone said no to me, I'm not gonna talk bad about them, and I'm like, I have to maybe pivot. I have to maybe do a different approach, or whatever it might be. Maybe the approach that I'm taking now is not working. Maybe I'm being whatever it is that you're obviously dealing with. But I feel like the power of there's a beautiful part of saying no, and I feel like when Allah puts this like obstacle in front of you, it depends on how you take it. Even Allah says like I show myself the way my servant thinks of me. So when something happens, like are you being grateful and saying you know what there's gonna be something better? And that's how I think of it. And I feel like a lot of the times I realize a lot of the younger brothers and sisters, and I feel this is why I'm so glad that I spoke with you, and I believe why I'm gonna buy your book and tell everybody to go use it. Wallahi, that's the first thing I'm gonna do after this podcast and tell you how to buy it. Because I genuinely believe that the young brothers and sisters should listen to both of you in terms of how the advice that you just gave me in this like hour conversation has helped me, and I think it's gonna help them as well, for sure.
Inshallah. Well, tell your parents they did a darn good job because, bruh,
I Hey,
that's
I
100.
gotta put
And
you on the
it's
phone or send me a
definitely
voice note.
our book, inshallah, has helped a lot of people. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on it. And, now we're in these international streets.
Well, I don't know. Trumpsters,
Different
man.
things.
We always tell the story about these Trumpsters who bought the book and it actually helped their marriage.
Really?
We're not because marriage is universal, and I don't care red, blue, green, whatever. I mean, marriage is the same all over the world. Which again, our travels and allowed us to do that. Marriage is the same all over the world, man. The same issues that we going through, they going through everywhere in the world.
Agreed, and and I'm trying to get married. I hope your book after that gets me married. I'm gonna be like, guys, this is the book that you need to read because it's helped me. It's gonna help you too.
Listen, we don't want you to just get married. We want you to
Stay
stay
married. Whole thing
married.
Stay
for
married. Stay married.
20. The whole thing about us writing this book was to keep more people married. And again, expectations. Once we get control of people and the expectations of each other, we can stay married.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. Before I let you guys go, I always love to play a fun game with my guests. So we're gonna ask some fun questions, and then the both of you can obviously answer. You might have unique different answers.
I win.
You no winner.
I always
no
win.
Winner, no winner.
Yeah, that's funny. It's not a competition unless unless not now I'm stressed. The first question for you guys is what's the best piece of advice that you both have received individually?
Leave her alone. I was one of them people who that's why I put it in the book, because I was one of them people who wanted her to do it how I wanted her to do it. Like my expectations of what I thought marriage was, this is what I wanted. That dude told me, you need to go somewhere. I said, huh? What you talking about? She my wife. You need to go somewhere. He put it back on me. You need to go somewhere. And what I did, I went somewhere and I came back, dude. I was like, that's some of the best advice I ever had.
I try not to be
Because she was good when I came back. Everything was good.
I try not to be like the Oprah-esque type of person, but this hit me like some years ago, and it's to the world you may be just one person, but to one person you may be the world. And that hits me in a way that, and especially now with us being Gen X and sandwiched between baby boomers and our millennials, there's a lot of people that depend on us. Like we're like their only lifeline.
Yeah.
And the world, we're revolving in this world, and we're in an airport with thousands of people, and we're just people in that airport. But to somebody, we're their whole world. We're their lifeline. So yeah, that hit.
I love that. That quote is gonna stick with me forever.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate
And
that.
that is huge, bro.
It stuck with me when I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. My next question for you guys is I know you guys travel a lot, so what's your favorite place to travel to? Number one on
Oh
top
my
of your-
goodness, over 30 countries. My husband always would say Dubai, because when we went to Dubai, it was just on a different level.
Yeah, I like to buy. I wasn't in their street life, whatever. But the culture shock for me when I got off that plane and I saw all them brothers in that white with them throws on and the
clean,
I used to call it the halo.
and the
I
airport.
was like, I got to get one of them bad boys.
The airport with the Jetsons.
Man, that stuff blew my mind.
But to me, I mean, we went to Thailand last year, so Bangkok was like, oh my God, on another level. That's I can't wait to go back to Bangkok.
And when you say where, the problem is if you travel, you go, dude, the food
everywhere
is like
different.
so clean.
Everywhere is different than here.
They don't give me gas like I get here.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's just we can't wait to travel to take in if they have good coffee.
Now some people would say, well, why are you still here if you like their food better? Well, because make me move. This is where I grew up. You can't take me out of where I grew up.
We got roots.
Excuse me. I get tired of people saying, well, why don't you go over there if you like it so much better?
We'll just travel. We'll take them 15, 18-hour flights.
Exactly. The food part, though, to your point about like how food in North America, even sometimes I was watching a video, they were comparing stuff from the 2000s to like now, and I'm like, what happened to all the ingredients? I'm like, what am I eating? So now I'm like, now I feel like I'm like paying attention to everything that I'm eating. And I haven't traveled in 15 years, so I feel like now it's time for me to travel, clearly. I just been like not traveling, and I feel like when I'm hearing people's experiences, I'm like, I think I gotta travel. I gotta do more with my life. My next question for you guys mentioned food, and I was gonna go to that. What is your, if you can have one food for the rest of your life, never get bored of it, you can eat it. What is that dish, or even or actually to make it even easier, like even if it's a franchise that you guys love to go to?
Samosa.
French fries. French fries all
French
day, every
fries?
day. Breakfast of the day. Yeah.
I eat a
We just
samosa upside down and
we just
sideways.
came from Kenya, and they had those potatoes, French fries on the breakfast. We had a breakfast buffet every day. Was, oh my god, the food was, oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
And they had a breakfast buffet every day, and they had samosas. They had lamb samosas. We had never had lamb samosas on the breakfast bar.
No, it got to
Okay.
be. No, I like good food, so not just any samosas. It got to be somebody that can make samosas.
And I'm telling you, the food in Kenya was smack your mama type of food. Like,
You
everything
know,
was so good.
everybody's samosas don't have that flakiness. That some of them just you bite it, it's like bread almost. But the one with that really flake, I'd be like, man, this stuff is melting in my mouth.
If you come to Toronto, there's a lot of great, because Toronto has like a melting pot of like different cultures. If you ever come to Toronto, there's a lot of great places of samosas. Will you come? Let me know, and I'll invite both of you guys out to whatever you want.
Oh, we're probably due for a return, because we were at Niagara Falls. We stayed on the Canadian side, which is way better than the American side. Okay,
Yes,
for
yeah,
those who've ever
definitely.
been. And we
I
went
mean, they
to,
pick up everything. You drop a leaf.
it's
Them
so
jokers.
clean, yeah. But we went to the halal Popeyes, and that
Yeah,
was like, yeah, that was like a whole experience. Like, wow, we hadn't eaten Popeyes in years.
yeah, because every Popeyes in Canada is halal. But next time you guys are here for Toronto for, yeah, every Popeyes here is halal. Even the one near my house, everywhere is all, because all the owners are Muslim, so they're all halal.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. But I was gonna say the next time you guys are here, I would love to come and see you guys speak for sure. And I want to put it out there because I cannot miss this conversation. And maybe hopefully next time you're here, we could do a podcast live.
Inshallah, maybe we could put it on our tour. Right now, we're
Definitely.
focusing on African. African is doing them African wars. Like, come over here, come over here, come over
Yeah, I got to
here.
go to
So,
Mubasa. And in Mubasa.
yeah, Mombasa in Kenya. But yeah, inshallah, we can get back to Toronto, because I think it's been since like 2015 since we were
Oh, it's
here.
been a minute. I
Yeah,
ain't true. And then we went to Buffalo, New York after that, didn't we? Or we went there
yeah.
before, something like that.
We went. I think we went before. Yeah.
Well, next time you guys are here, inshallah, I will personally invite you guys to an amazing restaurant, some amazing food. I'm not sure you
Oh,
guys have heard.
alhamdulillah.
Not sure you guys have heard of a plaza called the Ridgeway Plaza. I call it the Muslim Plaza because it's like at Friday night you might run into your relative for sure. Like you're gonna run into someone that you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
It's nice to have places for Muslims to be able to hang out like
Man,
that.
I love it. I love it in Detroit. Detroit is
Yeah,
another good one.
Detroit. Yeah, Dearborn.
Yeah, like Dearborn for sure, definitely. I want to go, but I've heard the food is good there. Well, to be honest with you, I haven't been to the States in a while, and the last time I went was January 1st, 2020, because I guess at the time I think we went to Chick-fil-A, and this is like when we made the switch, like this is the last non-halal food we're eating, and then I remember the border police looked at us. He's like, "But don't you guys have Chick-fil-A here?" But like, "Yeah, but like we're food vloggers though." They looked at us. They're like, "These guys are like whatever, just go." Yeah, but before I let you guys go, I'd love for you guys to tell everybody where they could follow you and how they can find you, and even like where they can order your book.
You guys can find us on social media at Rufus and Jenny, just how our names are spelled, at Rufus and Jenny, on Facebook and Instagram. And you can find us on YouTube at Rufus and Jenny TV. You can find our book, Surviving Marriage in the 21st Century, as well as we have other books as well on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
You can find me on Mount Rushmore,
Stop.
down the street
Yeah.
at the cafeteria.
Stop. Just stop. Gosh.
Sounds good. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having us.